welcome back to the No Notes Podcast.
Ooh.
I'm JD.
And I'm Morgan.
Today, we are coming to you the day after the 2023 Oscars. And the 2023 Oscars were pretty good. Did you watch them, Morgan?
I've seen most of it. I've watched it through Twitter, which is like watching the Oscars.
Which is exactly the same as watching the Oscars.
It's the best way of watching the Oscars, actually.
And, the Oscars can be great sometimes, and they can get a lot of stuff right. I think they were awarded a lot of great movies that were super deserving. Yeah. But today, we wanted to take things into our own hands. So, we are going to be selecting the Oscars for 2023 as if we were in charge.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and a welcome to the first annual No Notes Oscars.
This is such a fun idea because everyone loves to complain about the Oscars. So the best way, I think, to get out all of the anger about who won or who didn't win is by just making your own.
Just invent your own.
And then it's like no problem.
I completely agree. I remember I've been doing this for the last couple of years actually, because I remember I was like so excited when I had first like really gotten into movies. 2019 was one of the first years that I did this, and I was like, all right, well, like, I knew I loved Parasite and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Little Women, but I didn't know how these movies were going to do at the Oscars that year. So I was like, well, what if I just picked who I thought should win and should be nominated? And I've done it every year since then. And I think it's super fun to go through and pick them out. And so I have a personal list. Morgan, you also have a personal list.
I do.
So what we're going to do today is go through in seven categories saying who we think should have been nominated for the awards. I have a 5 in each of the categories. So does Morgan. We're each going to present our 5s and eventually combine them to make one master list for the No Notes Oscars. Yes. So if I have different people than Morgan, and there's probably going to be a lot of disagreement over here, we're going to have a debate.
Yes.
So there can only be 5 nominees in each category. How do you feel about that? I know the Oscars do 10 in Best Picture.
I think 5's a good amount. I was kind of struggling in some of them to pick a full 5. I'm like, wow, 3 was easy. Like, I had a top 3 in every single one. Super easy. But the last 2 was like, I don't know.
We're going to have our 5. The 7 categories we're going to do are Best Picture, Best Director, Best Leading Actress, Leading Actor, Supporting Actress and Supporting Actor, and Best Animated Picture. So we're going to discuss these, kind of go through our thoughts. And this is also, like the real Oscars, going to be our last chance to discuss some of the movie year that was in 2023, which was a pretty good movie year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, we had Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Across the Spider-Verse, and Boy in the Hair, and these are some great movies that we got from great filmmakers over the last year. And so now it's kind of our last chance to really celebrate them as 2024 gets off to a hot start.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I think let's just jump on into it and let's start kind of at the bottom. Let's go with Best Animated Picture first. So for this category, selected only 4, because I only watched 4 animated movies that I thought would really qualify this year. I picked The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And Morgan, you had some thoughts on animated picture as well.
I wrote, let the record show Morgan refuses to participate in this category. I think animated films should just be a part of every other category. I don't know why it's on its own. It's like, yes, it's its own media, right? Like, it's a different medium. But also, it's still a film, it's still a story, and I think at the end of the day, it has all of the same elements as all of the other ones, and I think can be judged the same. So I just put the animated pictures that I have seen in all of the other categories and decided to just ignore this one because it's the No Notes Oscars, and that's what I felt like doing.
Yeah. You know what? And in that spirit, I think we can just stick with the list that I have.
Great.
Because it's the No Notes Oscars, and this is what I want to do. To defend this position, I actually think it's great. I think the regular Oscars have documentary and animation as separate categories. And in some sense, there's a lack of respect for both of those, I think, generally. Because shoving documentary and animated into their own categories oftentimes means they get excluded from the main competitions, which I don't think is very fair. But I also do think it's cool and special to be able to recognize the medium of animation in its own genre, kind of among its peers. I think there are animated movies this year that definitely stand out and deserve to be included among the live-action narrative films.
Yeah.
But I do like getting this like special chance to highlight them. That's because true. I think then, there are some that might go unrecognized otherwise. Like Elemental was not a perfect movie, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was sweet and cute. Mm-hmm. And then The Boy and the Heron and Across the Spider-Verse, I think we're going to be discussing a lot more later. But
which I also have never thought about documentary, because those, I'm like, yeah, obviously that's different. But my argument is not as valid as I wish it was.
Yeah,
but I
exactly.
just didn't feel like it.
Okay, so you'll see our nominees for the 4 animated, and Morgan will refuse to participate in this category. All right, let's move on to Best Supporting Actor. Who were your 5 nominees, Morgan?
Okay, my Best Supporting Actors. I don't know how to say his name, Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers, the main younger guy. Adrian Brody from Asteroid City, loved him. And then Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, also might mess up this name. Hidetaka Yoshioka from Godzilla -1, and Ryan Gosling for Barbie.
Nice. I had Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Charles Melton for May December, which was a really weird movie, but kind of great, and this performance was really great. So, per our rules, we have 2 of the same. We agree on Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling, so they are going to go forward and be nominees. But we have 3 then open spaces and 6 names that we could potentially fill. So, out of your other nominees, who are you really feeling passionate for?
I really like Dominic in The Holdovers.
Yeah?
I think, what's the main guy's name in that?
Paul Giamatti?
Yes. I think he's great, but I also think for how few characters were in that film, if he didn't have this guy behind him, I would not have been as for that film as I was, because Paul can get a little he's a little crazy, a little not lovable,
Fair,
and this guy brings all of the lovable young kid that you want to see, that brings out the best of Paul Giamatti. So that he's probably my number 1. I think I would really fight for him.
He's your number 1, you feel like, in the whole category?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
In that case, I am going to put forward my number 1, which is Sterling K. Brown from American Fiction. Did you watch this movie?
I did not.
Okay. So Sterling K. Brown is from This Is Us. He's mostly been a TV actor, but in this movie he plays Jeffrey Wright's brother, who is experiencing a midlife crisis, and he is basically just going crazy, doing drugs and having a crazy life.
I'm gonna look it up.
Despite his lifestyle, I feel like Sterling K. Brown is brings so much energy and life to this movie. It's a really good and fun and funny movie.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah, and so Jeffrey Wright's the main guy who was in Asteroid City and much of other Wes Anderson movies. Yeah. But then the brother is to me was kind of the star of the movie. He stole it, and I thought he was so good in a supporting performance, and so I would really want to nominate him as well.
Nice.
And I have no issue with Dominic Sessa either. I think he was really good in that movie. I think that whole movie is super good.
Yeah.
So, you want to put forward
those two?
Those 2.
And then we can fight over the last spot.
Okay.
So who do you want for our 5th spot?
All right. So, I did really think that Charles Melton was very good in May December. This was
Let me look this one up too.
It's a super weird movie. It is based on a true story about an older woman who basically seduced and manipulated a teenage boy into being her life partner, and he plays as an adult this teenage boy. And so there's a ton of it's Arrested Development. He is stuck in this state of adolescence as an adult, and he has teenage children, and he has no idea what to do. Like, he's 30, and he has teenage children who are about to graduate, and like he is basically still a child. Like, he's so repressed. And watching this movie, it's a bizarre movie, like tonally, and I feel like his performance was anchoring all of the crazy stuff that was going on in a really compelling way. So I liked him a lot.
I think for Godzilla -1, this guy plays the professor.
Okay.
That
I still haven't seen Godzilla -1.
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually a professor. He's got glasses and he's always in front of the chalkboard.
Sounds professorial.
And he is like, he's the one that like brings the happiness into it. He brings a lot of hope into it, and his character is kind of funny, and he was one of the most memorable characters outside of like literally Godzilla.
Sure. Okay.
But I will say, I think other actors did better in that film than him. So okay. I could maybe be convinced for the May-December.
What about Adrian Brody? What would be like your case for nominating him?
I think all of these I chose as the most memorable character. And I don't know, I can't even remember exactly. I remember at the end he's in it, and he is like on the stage production right before the big parts, and I remember remembering that. Like, he was really notable, and I don't even remember why. Honestly, it's been a really long time since I've seen it, but I was looking at those films and I saw that and I was like, I loved that guy. So that is why I chose him.
He's been really good for a really long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am still feeling pretty strongly for Charles Melton, but do you like, I don't know, of these two guys, who would you like put forward most, do you think?
I think I can get behind the Charles Melton.
Yeah?
Having not seen it, I think your argument was pretty good. That like he's the one character
in that movie who like he is like the anchor of the movie, and he is like plays like so much like quiet like repression, but he makes it so endearing at the same time. It's really, I enjoy, and that's not like, I don't know if it's a movie I would like super recommend, but that performance is what makes that movie worth watching to me. Like, it's just really good acting. And this dude was on Riverdale. Like, I don't know, like he kind of came up from like from not doing much and just like killed in this movie playing like with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. So he's really good.
I can get behind that.
Okay.
So our 5 nominees for Best Supporting Actor, we have Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction; Charles Melton, May-December; Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers; Robert Downey Jr. from Oppenheimer; and Ryan Gosling for Barbie.
Nice. Best Supporting Actress. I selected Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer. Viola Davis for The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I was surprised when I saw that, and then I remembered us talking about The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and how obsessed you were with her performance in that.
She
and
was
I was
so
like,
good.
I don't know how I can be surprised.
Go back and listen to our Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes episode if you want to even talk about how good Viola Davis is. She's unhinged. I think we'll talk more about her performance. Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, who just won the Oscar. Congratulations, last night. Margot Robbie for Asteroid City in like 2 scenes.
I was like, she's not in it very much.
She's in 2 scenes, but it's like the best scene of the movie. That movie is so amazing and has so many great scenes. But
this is gonna make me rewatch Asteroid City. That's all
I
this
really
episode's doing for me.
I really want to. I know. I just thought she was like one of the most memorable. The same way you said for Adrian Brody, I thought Margot Robbie was the most memorable part of the movie, with a ton of great actors and so many great scenes. The scene where she's talking to Jason Schwartzman from across the balcony was one of the left one of the biggest impressions on me. Yeah. My last nominee is Amy Ryan for Beau is Afraid, who's Holly from The Office. Is the only thing I've ever seen her in. And in Beau is Afraid, she plays this. She's like a woman who is so obsessed with like doing charity to a fault. Like, her entire life revolves around being charitable to the point where she like neglects her husband and daughter, and she like is so blind, and so she becomes obsessed with helping out Joaquin Phoenix's character, and she plays it like this like stereotypical like New York mom who's like really overbearing, but then there's like
I can see her playing that.
It's also like so sinister. I don't know, there are so many weird layers in this performance, and again, Beau is Afraid is a long movie with a lot of actors, but I walked away being like really impressed with Holly from The Office. Amy Ryan is her name. She was great. Okay, who are your nominees?
I put Shawnee Smith from Saw 10. 10, I think.
10? You're the Saw expert, not me. Wow, okay.
I mainly chose her because this girl has done literally all of the Saw movies. I think she's in most of the Saw movies, and I love the Saw movies, and she plays the character who becomes the apprentice to Jigsaw.
Okay.
And I think she does so good. I think the Saw movies are full of terrible, terrible acting. And I think she does really good. I think her character's name is Amanda. And she's really interesting character because Jigsaw has this like agenda that he's torturing people for, right? And she is his apprentice that he has chosen. She has been in the traps herself, like believes in this idea, but also has her own agenda and doesn't fully agree with him.
Okay.
And she's also like sees him kind of as like a father figure because she's much younger than him. It's just a really weird character, and she plays it really well. And she's played it forever. So it's like I'm just gonna throw her name out there because I like her and I love those movies, and she's like a big part of them. Yeah,
it's the No Notes Oscars, all right.
Yeah,
these are the performances we want to see nominated. So shout out Saw 10, Shawnee Smith.
Yes, and then Viola Davis, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers.
Nice.
Margot Robbie, Asteroid City, and I put Michelle Rodriguez for the D&D movie.
Yeah.
she was the best part of that movie. She was so funny, and I just love her in everything. But
her being obsessed with Bradley Cooper as like the dwarf person, whatever he was so funny. Yeah, she was so awesome.
Good in that. Yeah.
So we share 3. Yeah. We share Viola Davis for Hunger Games, Devendra Randolph for The Holdovers, and Margot Robbie for Asteroid City, which is great. I think, like, Margot Robbie had 2 amazing performances this year. Yeah. Okay,
every one of her, she's always amazing in everything.
Yeah. So if we were going to combine so we have our 3 that we share. So I think... Is there one of yours that you feel really passionate we should put forward? But do you think both of yours should go through?
Dude, like both of mine, I think, are definitely like the fun picks. So I don't think they would win if I had to choose. So I'm not against getting rid of both of mine. I do think that they're really fun and they deserve to be mentioned. But I do definitely agree with Emily Blunt and Oppenheimer. So that's a good 4 if you're cool with that.
You want to put Emily Blunt through?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Yeah, she's great. Also nominated for an Oscar. Like, I don't know what more you can say. She really only gets 1 scene in Oppenheimer, but I feel like she killed it. Like, she knocked it out of the park.
The end when she's like sitting on the couch just listening in the background, I feel like I was watching her the entire time. Yeah. And yeah, she did great in that movie. Yeah. I got a lot of problems with that movie that we can talk about later, but but acting was not one of them.
Okay, so. I think it's gonna come up later. So, and I don't know. I really liked your case for Shawnee Smith. Honestly, yeah. I would be super down to nominate her. Someone from Saw, like that would be so fun. I agree.
What would you pick other than her?
Other than her, I mean, I really did love Amy Ryan in Beau is Afraid, but I don't know, like it was a great performance, I thought, but I feel like it's super weird and like it's like sinister but funny what she's doing in that movie, and so it's not as much like, and so it's like acting, but it's like really like silly and goofy. And Viola Davis is also doing that same kind of performance, and I think Viola Davis is better in Hunger Games. So maybe just to nominate like a different kind of performance, I would be down to do. I don't know, would you rather have Shawnee or Michelle Rodriguez for D&D? Or would you rather have Amy Ryan?
Probably Shawnee Smith, just for the memes. Just because I love her.
Let's do it. Shawnee Smith. Congratulations on your No Notes Oscar nomination.
Yes.
So that makes our 5: Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Shawnee Smith for Saw 10, Viola Davis for The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, and Margot Robbie for Asteroid City. Congratulations. Dude. All right. You want to head on to Best Actor?
Yes. Best Leading Actor. Which usually the acting in the Oscars in general is one of my least interested Like they're huge because everyone like knows the actors and like it's just really big. But I also probably get the least excited for best supporting actor and best actor. I mean, it's cool and like I love it. It's like obviously a huge part of it. But I will say I do like most of the other Oscar options. What are they called?
Like the other categories?
Categories. More than these. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So next year.
I also think I just don't know enough about acting to like really, really appreciate it as much as I can appreciate something like visual effects, which I know a lot about, or like directing and things that are a bit bigger. But best leading actor. That being said, these actors.
You do have opinions on these actors.
Yes. Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers. Nice. Cillian Murphy. Is it Cillian? Killian. I think it's Killian. Cillian Murphy.
That's what Jimmy Kimmel said at the
Oppenheimer. Yes. And then Chris Pratt for Guardians of the Galaxy. Jason Schwartzman for Asteroid City. Does he count as a leading actor?
I would count him as a leading actor.
Yeah.
I also nominated him for leading actor.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
And then my fun one, Josh Hutcherson, Five Nights at Freddy's baby, best leading actor in a film at the Oscars.
You know, I hated this movie. If anyone from Five Nights at Freddy's should be on, it's Matthew Lillard. He's the only one who gives like a good performance in that movie.
Maybe, but I love Josh Hutcherson. So.
And it's the No Notes Oscars. So.
Yeah. So there's my nomination. What do you have?
I said Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers.
Easy.
And Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer.
Easy.
And Jason Schwartzman for Asteroid City. So we share those three already.
Yep.
I also nominated Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid. So that movie has sat really well with me. It's super bizarre, but it sat really well with me. And I nominated Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. So same film as Sterling K. Brown. In American Fiction, Jeffrey Wright plays this author he's a black author who is struggling to get his books about like Greek mythology published. So he writes a very stereotypically black book, which all of the white publishers are obsessed with.
Oh, I saw the trailer for this. Or I saw a scene from this where he was in a bookstore. Yeah. And I thought it was really interesting.
It's a really clever satire. And then in the middle of that, there's like a family drama with like him and Sterling K. Brown going on, trying to like help their sick mom. And then Sterling K. Brown's having the midlife crisis. And so there's a ton going on in this movie. But Jeffrey Wright has been really good in a lot of stuff. He was Beetee in The Hunger Games. He was Commissioner Gordon in the Pattinson Batman. Yeah. And I feel like here he gets to give like a really, really great, grounded, earnest, sweet performance. Nice. And I loved him in this movie. Yeah. And then Joaquin Phoenix is just like, you know, on
I have not seen either of those films, but I do love both of those actors a lot. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything that I've not liked from them.
I agree. All right.
You're not feeling Chris Pratt for Guardians of the Galaxy?
I do. I love those Guardians movies. Yeah. The first two are my favorite Marvel movies for sure. Guardians 3 has not been my favorite. I've watched it twice now, and it's like... But I do think Chris Pratt was really good in it.
Most of my thinking is Chris Pratt is such a mid-actor in a lot of things, but he's so perfect for Guardians that I was like, I'm going to throw him in there, because I really liked the third one.
I agree. I think Chris Pratt was great in Parks and Rec, is great in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and then otherwise has not gotten to give a great... but like, something about the Guardians movies, he always gives great acting performances in them. So I would definitely be cool if we want to throw him in there. I think that's like the time he really gets to shine. That character is perfect for him. Yeah. I don't know. Would you rather have Chris Pratt or Josh Hutcherson if you had to pick one of your nominees we diverge on? Or is that like choosing between your like your children?
I don't feel strongly about either of those. Like, personally, obviously, yes, they're on my nominee list. But objectively, I know that your two are better, and I'm probably okay with both Jeffrey Wright and Joaquin Phoenix being picked.
I mean, if you want to throw in Chris Pratt or Josh Hutcherson, I'm not going to stand in the way.
Oh, it beeped. No, I think we should do Jeffrey Wright and Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
I think objectively, which is, you know, kind of what the Oscars about. We can give it a little bit of suave, you know?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, yeah, we have like, I think there's still some really fun nominations this year. Like, we didn't really talk about Jason Schwartzman in Asteroid City very much. Oh, yeah. Or Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers. I think both of those guys give really awesome performances in like, as like sillier, but also really sad leading actors. Yeah. Jason Schwartzman is super underrated, I think. and he was so good in Asteroid City.
Yeah.
Like balancing the like he was playing an actor who was playing a father who had just lost his wife to these daughters, and like all of the layers of that. I just thought it was great. It's like a classic Wes Anderson movie where everything's on top of everything else. But I loved it, and I liked him a lot in the movie.
Yeah, I think he really killed it.
So do you want to read the 5?
Yes. So, Best Leading Actor for the No Notes Oscars, we have Joaquin Phoenix, Beau is Afraid, Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, and Jason Schwartzman, Asteroid City.
Nice.
We also didn't talk about Oppenheimer. He like makes that whole movie.
Yeah, I agree. He's the standout of Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
He wins.
Easy. All right. Best Leading Actress.
I nominated Anjanou Ellis Taylor for Origin.
I remember you liking that movie a lot.
So good. She's the reason to watch this movie. It's like a very good movie, I thought, but like in terms of Best Leading Actress, this to me is the toughest category. This is like all the best performances of the year are in Best Leading Actress. Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Scarlett Johansson for Asteroid City, Natalie Portman in May December, and Margot Robbie for Barbie.
Nice. I've got Rachel Ziegler for The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Nice.
Only because she was... It only stood out to me because it was a musical, and she sang a lot, and I think she did really good with that. So it just felt like different, which is why I chose it. I have not still seen Killers of the Flower Moon. I know. But I did put Lily Gladstone because I know it's a crowd favorite and I trust that you...
Dude, whenever you watch this movie, I think you're going to walk away being like, it was worth it for her acting. Because it is really long.
Went to watch it this morning and it was only... You couldn't rent it. I was going to rent it. It was only for sale for $26 online. So I was like, I'll watch it later. But I do really want to see it. But I nominated her anyway. Scarlett Johansson, Asteroid City. I put Caitlin Dever from No One Will Save You. I chose her because she's the main actress, and that movie just follows her, and there's almost no talking. And I just think...
yes, you told me about this one.
Yeah, I think it was just super, super impressive, and it was because of her that it was. And I would put that for Best Leading Actress. And then Margot Robbie for Barbie, of course.
Classic.
So which ones do we have matching?
I think Lily Gladstone, Scarlett Johansson, and Margot Robbie are all matches for us.
Nice.
Even though you haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
But those are all 3 really worthy nominees. I'm going to fight for Anjanou Ellis in this. That movie is... It's a very strange movie the way it's structured. Because it's based on a book, but not really. It's about the author and her journey to write the book. Oh. And a lot of the movie is just about conversations that she has with people while she's researching. And then, like, her cousin, who's also, like, one of her best friends, is, like, her sounding board. Mm-hmm. Also, through the course of the movie, she loses her husband to cancer. She loses her mom to old age. And so she has to do a lot of crying. And it never feels like she's cloying at you. It always feels very earnest and genuine, like, the grief that she carries with her. It's, like, a really amazing acting performance. Like, very understated, but also... like the entire movie's on her shoulders because it's just her having conversations and she has to carry so much in every conversation she's in. Yeah. And I think it's like one of the best acting performances that I've seen in a while. Like, in this category too is so stacked with like performances I think are really good. Like Margot Robbie and Lily Gladstone and Scarlett Johansson are all really, really, really great in their movies. Yeah. But I would fight for her.
I think, yeah. And it's kind of for the same reason that I chose Caitlin Dever from No One Will Save You. It's like just them the whole movie.
So do you want to nominate Caitlin Dever or be the 5th one?
Maybe. Who else do you have? Natalie Portman. May December.
She's good. She's probably my least favorite of the 5 that I have though. Okay. Like she's very good, but like I don't know if Natalie Portman's doing work that's as good as the other actors. And I haven't seen No One Will Save You, but I think the fact that movie wholly rests on her shoulders with no dialogue, to like having to act facially seems like I don't know much about acting either, but it seems very challenging. And if she can pull it off,
I kind of struggled with this one because I was like, she is like all on her own, and it's not like the greatest movie ever. I personally really, really enjoyed it, but I know that other people probably would not as much. But she like and it's also kind of a survival movie, and I tend to look down on survival movie acting because it's all just like, I'm getting pushed around and people are shooting at me, whatever. But I think she does it really interestingly. Like, she is just kind of like in survival mode the whole time, and there's not a lot of speaking, but I think she keeps me interested the whole time. So,
you want to throw her in there?
Sure. Let's do her and how do you say her name?
Ingenue Ellis.
Ingenue Ellis. So, best leading actresses, we have Ingenue Ellis Taylor. Ingenue Ellis Taylor, full name.
Yeah.
Origin. Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, Scarlett Johansson for Asteroid City, Caitlin Dever and No One Will Save You, and Margot Robbie for Barbie.
Shout out Margot. 2 nominations. Pretty good.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Okay. Best director.
Yes.
You want to go first?
Yes. I put No One Will Save You again. I forgot I put it on there. I think because I put directing and acting so closely.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I chose him for this one. So Brian Duffield, the No One Will Save You director, Wes Anderson, Asteroid City, Hayao Miyazaki for The Boy and the Heron, and Alexander Payne for The Holdovers, and Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Nice.
I do think most of these I chose because the acting was good.
Miyazaki's really interesting. I really considered putting him in mine.
Thinking back on it, I think The Boy and the Heron and there was another one I was thinking of. Yeah, The Boy and the Heron and Godzilla were both films that I watched this year and immediately did not love. I did really like them, but it wasn't like sold. And thinking about all of these and comparing them in categories, I think they both kind of went up a few levels in my mind, and I started to really like. So that's why I put him as a director for The Boy and the Heron, because I was just comparing it to every other film that came out, and I was like, it's so unique, which is what he's great at, and I think that was enough for me to add it in my top 5 best directors. Yeah. What do you have?
I had Ari Aster for Beau is Afraid, because that movie's insane, and I think it really hinges on
Ari Aster.
Wes Anderson for Asteroid City, Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson, the directors of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, and Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Nice.
So out of these, I think we only share Wes Anderson and Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Why Wes Anderson for Asteroid City? Like, I mean...
Dude, it's so good.
It is. I don't even know what else to say.
I think uniqueness has a lot. I think uniqueness and acting is what I kind of attribute to directors specifically. And Wes Anderson does both of those so great. Like, not only he does acting great and the movie's unique, but he does unique acting great.
True. And
so I think that is just like, he's an easy shoe-in for someone who's doing something different and doing it so good.
Yeah. No one makes movies like Wes Anderson.
Oh, man.
And the fact that he's making them at this big scale, like all of the sets that he has, plus like how intricate the story is, and the fact that I felt like when I was watching it, I never lost track of it.
Yeah.
Like everything he was telling me made sense, and I was enjoying what I was seeing. I thought that was super cool. And I think this is one of his best movies to date. I think we've nominated it in basically every category, and it deserves it. And I think
how did it do in actual Oscars? I haven't actually.
It didn't win anything. I don't think it even got nominated for anything.
Oh, tragic.
Which is crazy to me because I feel like it's like a movie about storytelling, and I feel like the Oscars would love that. But like he won for the Henry Sugar short film.
Oh, I saw. That's what I saw.
He did not. Like I don't think the movie Asteroid City was even nominated.
Interesting.
Which is tragic. We're fixing that.
Yeah. Now it is. You're welcome.
Right. And I gotta say, like off the bat, I think Hayao Miyazaki probably should be nominated for The Boy and the Heron.
Ooh.
The more I think about that movie and like what he's able to do, it's like classic Miyazaki stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like more melancholic now. It feels like heavier than some of his other movies, but it doesn't ever lose like that classic spirit of whimsy that he has.
And I think what really changed my mind was I'm so used to we did like a whole podcast on Miyazaki and all of his films, and I did a bunch of research, watched all of them back to back, and comparing it to his other films, I think made me like it less. But comparing it to all of the films from last year made me like it way more.
Yeah.
Because like compared to his own work, maybe not the best, but compared to most of the films that came out this year, I think it was super unique and really great.
Yeah. I think we should put him in.
Cool. A solid number 3. Also, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, the Oscar winner.
I think he was on the bottom of my choices.
Really? Wow.
I don't know if I've said this before. I did not enjoy Oppenheimer very much. I think like the pacing is really weird. I know everyone disagrees with me, but I also think it's just really basic. And I think like the actors made it work, but I do think like so much more could have been done. I think that's kind of where I felt at the end of it. Is like it did what it did great, but it should have done more. Should have done better. So
I don't know how he could have done better than what he did. Honestly, the fact that he was able to capture like the entire life and career of this guy in 3 hours is crazy. Yeah. I think that the pacing is great. I feel like I was never bored watching it. And what he was able to do with the Trinity test, I also saw it in like an IMAX theater, which probably helped. But like the Trinity test like set piece when they're in Los Alamos and like the tension that you feel. And then the scene afterwards when everyone's like stomping their feet and rumbling and celebrating Oppenheimer and he's getting these visions of like what the bomb is going to do. It's like, I felt like everything was tied through, and it's like I attribute a lot of that to Cillian Murphy and his acting performance. Yeah. But I think Christopher Nolan deserves almost all of the credit for staging and capturing and directing these actors and everything to one of the most impressive movies I've ever seen. I think Oppenheimer was great. I think it's like a real directing. I think he deserved to win the Oscar. I think he definitely deserves to for sure be nominated with our group, and he will be because we both selected him.
Yeah, I did pick him because I think he's a great director. I just didn't like Oppenheimer very much. But I also just didn't like really the story. I just didn't really care about it in general. So that's probably on me.
Where are you on Greta Gerwig for Barbie?
I don't know. I think it is unique and the acting is great because it's Margot Robbie but I do think like the more I think about it, the more I watch it, the less I like it. Kind of feels like it was cool while it happened, but people are gonna kind of forget about it in a few years and not really want to like rewatch it. I don't know. I don't think the rewatchability is where I want it to be overall for that movie.
I think that's fair.
But I do like Greta Gerwig. I just like her on a film. I like all the pictures they take of her. I just feel like she like behind the scenes photos and things. Like when I see her in a directing position, I feel like it just makes me feel good. Maybe just because she's just a woman and she kills it. And I love her for that. But
I think that the problem with Barbie to me is the screenplay. The fact that it's like structured the way it is.
Yeah.
And like to me like the pacing in Barbie is actually a problem. I think there's a lot of and like the Will Ferrell stuff I don't enjoy at all.
Yeah.
I feel like the problem with Barbie is more the writing than it ever is the directing. And when I think about like how impressive it is, like the production design and everything in Barbie's like the best part of it. And then the fact that she was able to capture all of that, make it feel so vibrant, and then like capture these big sweeping dance numbers like the I'm Just Kin like ballet into the fight sequence or the Dua Lipa song at the beginning or all of like remember when Alan went and like beat those guys up. Everything that happens in the Kate McKinnon Weird Barbie house. I feel like all of the like things that you would want to see a director be able to capture and make feel important, she is able to capture and make feel important. Yeah. While also being like really fun and whimsical. And I feel like my like problems with that movie are more with like the writing than the directing, and I think it's so impressive what she was able to do. I also am a huge fan of her from like Little Women and Lady Bird. I feel like Barbie's probably like maybe her weakest movie, but even then it's like still a pretty good movie that I think is made better because she was behind the camera. And she was able to imbue it with so much.
I think that's all true. I think you changed my mind. Right. I think the problems is not with the directing and everything that the whole like vibe, production, the directing of the comedy and just the timing and how they act. Like
I totally
agree.
agree.
You flip my mind. Absolutely.
And even like
easy.
all of the like little facial expressions Margot Robbie does and like
Yeah.
everything she conveys there, like I mean that's Margot and Greta working together to get that, performance and I feel like
comedy is hard to do, and I feel like she kind of killed it. So it is a funny movie.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I was really honestly surprised she didn't get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
I did predict back in our like your beginning predictions that Margot Robbie wouldn't get nominated. I just kind of figured that was something they would do, but I was surprised Greta Gerwig didn't. Because I feel like that movie, like one of the best things about it is the directing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more spot.
Yeah.
Who are you feeling like you want to put forward? Is it Ari Aster? Is it Alexander Payne for The Holdovers? Is it the Spider-Verse directors? What are you feeling?
I do really like The Holdovers.
Okay. What's like the case for it as like a directing contender?
I think again, like the acting, it's a really simple, small film, and I think it like holds up really well with that. But man, do I love Ari Aster. And I haven't seen Beau is Afraid. I've seen trailers and scenes and things, but
it's also 3 hours long. So
yeah, I could maybe be convinced just because Ari Aster's weird and kills it and everything. I think maybe him.
I think like this is too like the most different movie he makes. Like Hereditary and Midsommar are like nightmares.
That's kind of why I didn't watch it.
You feel like trapped in. It
felt so different, and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch him do something else because he's so good at doing this other thing. So,
but like the movie is 3 hours long, and it like the beginning is like a classic Ari Aster movie. It's like this guy who lives in New York City, but like it's like the worst version of New York City you could ever imagine. It feels like an anxious, like sweaty nightmare. And then he goes to Amy Ryan's house, and it's like he's like being like mothered on in this like super weird way by Amy Ryan, and like she has a daughter who hates him. And then like there are like 5 or 6 different large sequences that all have their own distinct vibe, but that all are really tonally connected in this sense of like sinister like oppression against this one dude. Like the whole world is against Joaquin Phoenix in this movie. And Ari Aster is like the best guy ever at making things feel nightmarish, and he makes things feel nightmarish and Beau's Afraid in a completely different way than Hereditary and Midsommar, and that's why I think he is one of the best directors of the year.
I'm convinced. You want to fight for Spider-Man?
I just think that movie's so good and cool, but I know you don't, and I would probably pick Ari Aster over the Spider-Man guys.
All right,
so.
that makes it easy.
So our 5 directors are Ari Aster for Beau's Afraid, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Wes Anderson for Asteroid City, Hayao Miyazaki for The Boy and the Heron, and Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Nice. That's a good group.
And Best Picture, our last category.
I've got Asteroid City, obviously. The Holdovers, obviously. Godzilla -1.
Curveball.
Barbie. And The Boy and the Heron. Yeah, Godzilla -1 was my one that I was like, I don't know. And the more I thought about it, the more I compared things, I decided it should be in Best Picture. Maybe only because I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet. But I figured I'd throw it in there. I think the impact it had on people was enough for me to think that it was cool. The fact that it took a existing universe and like did something different and really good, I appreciated. What do you have for Best Picture?
I also have Asteroid City. I also have The Holdovers. And then Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse are my others. So
what? We only have The Holdovers and Asteroid City that match?
Yes. So Asteroid City and The Holdovers, congratulations. Best Pictures of the year. Now, if I'm going to fight for one here, I do think I'm going to fight for Oppenheimer. I know you're not a big fan, but I think when you look at what this movie was able to do as a whole, you see, like, from a story perspective, I think that they tell the story of this guy's life in a really interesting way. I like the way it's structured. I think it's really exciting. I think the editing is great. The pacing is great. I think it's a beautiful to look at movie. It's super interesting. The scope and the scale and the acting, everything I think just comes together in such a satisfying way. And I really feel like it deserved to win Best Picture. I don't know if it was the best picture of last year, but it was my favorite probably. And I think it deserved to win. And I think it should be in our group.
Yeah.
That's the one I would really fight for here.
As much as I don't enjoy watching that movie and probably will never watch it again, I will say, like, objectively, it is incredible, and I do think it was great at a lot of things. So I'm more than okay with putting it for Best Picture.
Sweet. If you had one you really had to fight for.
Ooh, I think The Boy and the Heron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, again, like comparing it to other things that came out, I think this one just did something different, and it did it amazing, and people were excited, and it's just great. I just love it. I think it does everything really, really well. I don't think it's perfect, and I don't think it will win, but I do think out of the other three that I have, it's probably my number 3.
Okay. I'm good with it. I feel like it's mid-level Miyazaki, but even mid-level Miyazaki is one of like probably the 5 best movies in any year.
Yeah.
You know, like it's when you're comparing it against things like Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away and even Ponyo, like how do you stand a chance?
Yeah.
But when you're comparing it, it's things like, I don't know, Transformers 7. like yeah, it's one of the best, obviously. Miyazaki's like the GOAT of animation, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm cool to put it forward. But it means we have one more spot.
Yes.
Which could go to Killers of the Flower Moon, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Godzilla -1, or Barbie.
Ooh.
Of those 4,
so many good ones.
what are you feeling? So
let's start with like I probably wouldn't put Barbie as Best Picture.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't think I would either.
Yeah.
Since we're only doing 5, I'd like.
Yeah.
Would you?
I also
would
would
you
say no to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
So that would leave like Killers of the Flower Moon and Godzilla -1.
Which are the movies that the other one of us hasn't seen? I haven't seen Godzilla -1. You haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon. So I think we're gonna have to convince each other here. So you want me to?
Let me go first.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Godzilla -1, I think, is impressive because it takes a character that is so known, a story that is so well known, has been done a million times, and it not only does it probably better than anyone else has, but also in a crazy different way that really, really caught people's attention. It was the one that no one expected, and you went and saw it, and you came home crying. And I love monster movies, but like they're all monster movies, you know? They kind of do the same thing. And this one was a monster movie, but it wasn't a monster movie. It was a movie with a monster. And I think it did incredible in almost every single aspect. The VFX was incredible. The acting was incredible. The story was incredible. It put such a fun twist on it. Not fun. It put such a great sad twist on it. That was really great to watch. And I think as someone who has never even seen a Godzilla movie, I was so excited to go see this one and was so impressed. And Godzilla -1 was a great, like, in theater experience surprise. And maybe
I wish I had gotten to go see a movie theater.
I don't think it's objectively the greatest movie. I think there's a lot of problems with it. It's a little slow, it's a little boring. It kind of leans into like war movies, which I really dislike, which is also part of the reason I don't like Oppenheimer very much. I really have a problem with like people like just standing around and talking about like maybe killing other people as a whole movie.
Morally, I don't know if it's the greatest like just thing to have happen.
Oh, not even morally. I just think it's boring.
But
both. So I don't know. I really like Godzilla -1 for a lot of reasons, and I really don't like it for some reasons. So I think it was great for what it tried to do, and I think it surprised people, and that's why it's on my Best Picture.
Okay.
Well, let's hear Killers of the Flower Moon.
I think, yes, it's long. It's too long. I would agree with people who have said it's too long. I don't know if it needed to be 3.5 hours, but it was. That's what we got. But when you have a guy like Martin Scorsese, who's made some of the greatest movies of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, now. He's one in the 2020s. And what he's able to convey here takes, I think, a lot of his style into account. The way he is, like, glorified. I don't know about glorified. Like, he's shown the evil of, like, gangsters in the mob. But he's made it fun to watch, like, gangsters in the mob do evil things.
Yeah.
And now in this movie, he is making it hard to watch. Like, the evil of the mob is so pressing, and it's like banal evil. It's like they are so casual and uncaring with like the way that they treat the Osage people, and it is like terrifying to watch, but somehow Martin Scorsese still makes it really engaging. And it all comes back to Lily Gladstone and Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is like an idiot, basically, who's being used by the mob to try to take advantage of Lily Gladstone and her family. And Lily Gladstone is in love with him, but is aware of these outside forces that are hurting her family, but doesn't know that her husband is also in on it. And like spins the movie in this like conflict between the two of them. There's like so much evil being allowed to happen just because there's no one who will stand up for the native people. And then like this whole conflict is shown so perfectly in this relationship. And it is like, yeah, like it is long. It is. But I think what it's trying to say is really interesting. And I think it makes its point really well with some like amazing acting, some really good like production quality and everything. And that would be my case now. But I will say Godzilla Minus One is probably the more fun option. Kill the Flower Moon is tough. Like, it's a great movie when you look at it objectively. But Godzilla Minus One has the fun. I really wish I would have gotten to see this in a movie theater because it seems like that would have been like the way to experience it. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
I think I would lean towards Killers of the Flower Moon.
You think so? I mean, this is the No Notes Oscars. Like, we don't have to be like.
I think Godzilla Minus One easily deserves like the visual effects, and maybe
which it did win at the Oscars.
Yeah, and it easily is like the most interesting like new creation from the Godzilla franchise. But Killers of the Flower Moon is original and tells a completely different story, a very real story that I think as best picture, best story, it probably has a lot more impact and importance than something like Godzilla might have. But I think I could easily choose Killers of the Flower Moon.
If you're sure. I know it is like the one that I was fighting first.
Let's do it.
All right. You want to read our Best Picture nominees?
Our 5 Best Picture No Notes Oscars nominees are Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Asteroid City, The Holdovers, and The Boy and the Heron.
Congratulations, guys.
Woo!
All right, so why don't we go back to the beginning, back to where we started. Let's each pick who we would select to be the winner of the award.
All right.
So, who would you pick to win Best Supporting Actor? The nominees again are Sterling K. Brown, Charles Melton, Dominic Sessa, Robert Downey Jr., and Ryan Gosling.
I think my Best Supporting Actor will go to Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers.
Nice. I am torn between Robert Downey Jr. and Sterling K. Brown. But I think I'm going to go with Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction.
Nice.
He's super fun and super funny in this movie. It's a great like supporting performance. And I'm a big fan of his.
Nice.
All right.
Best Supporting Actress. We have Emily Blunt, Shawnee Smith, Viola Davis, Divine Joy Randolph, or Margot Robbie.
I would pick Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. I think she's so good in this movie and like in general. I've been a fan of hers. There's a show she did with Zoe Kravitz called High Fidelity a couple years ago that she was really good in. And then she was in a bunch of other stuff since then. And I think she's probably the best. I think there's a reason she won the Oscar. She's really great in this movie. She's heartbreaking. She's so sweet and warm. I love her in this movie. She's great.
I think I'm going to go with Viola Davis.
Yeah?
Which was your choice, but seeing it just compared to these 5, it's just like such an interesting performance.
She's on something in this movie,
dude,
for sure.
I think I'm pretty happy with that choice.
Okay, sweet. Leading actor. The nominees are Joaquin Phoenix, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, and Jason Schwartzman. Who you got?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to go with Jason Schwartzman for Asteroid City.
Nice.
I think he deserves it. I think out of all of these names, his performance really stands out as something different.
I think it'll be hard to take it away from Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer because that whole movie rests on his shoulders.
Yeah. And
what he does is like really, really amazing. But I think what Jason Schwartzman does is like a whole other level of layered and interesting. And I really loved him in that movie. And so I would also pick Jason Schwartzman.
Nice. Jason Schwartzman. Best leading actor from the No Notes podcast.
On your No Notes win. Double win.
Best leading actress. We have Anjanou Ellis Taylor for Origin, Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, Scarlett Johansson in Asteroid City, Caitlin Dever in No One Will Save You, and Margot Robbie for Barbie.
It's gotta be Lily Gladstone. She kills it, knocks it out of the park. Shout out Scarlett Johansson and Anjanou Ellis. You guys are great, but it's Lily all the way.
I think because I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm not gonna pick it. I think I'm gonna go with Margot Robbie in Barbie. Nice. I do think she did incredible and carried that movie.
Sweet. Best Director. Our nominees are Ari Aster, Greta Gerwig, Wes Anderson, Hayao Miyazaki, and Christopher Nolan.
Ooh.
What are you thinking?
Wes Anderson for Asteroid City. I was going between him and Hayao Miyazaki.
The two directors we did whole episodes about this year.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I think Wes Anderson, that movie's just so good, and he's incredible.
I think it's got to be Christopher Nolan. I think Oppenheimer and what he does there is like, it's a real like amazing achievement. Okay, and Best Picture.
Last but not least, we have Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Asteroid City, The Holdovers, and The Boy and the Heron.
I think it's gonna be Oppenheimer. I don't know what else did what Oppenheimer does this year. I think it's the best picture. It was my favorite. I don't know. I think it's just really, really great.
Yeah. I kind of want to go with The Holdovers.
Yeah?
Just because I think when I see all of these, the one that I see myself going back and watching over and over again throughout my lifetime, I see The Holdovers. I think it's instant classic. Everything about it is simple and easy, and I think I'm gonna give it Best Picture.
Okay. Nice. Well, congratulations to The Holdovers and Oppenheimer for your Best Picture win at the first ever No Notes Oscars. Jason Schwartzman and Lily Gladstone and Margot Robbie and Dominic Sessa and whoever else we said won. You guys are awesome. So thank you. That was 2023. How do you feel after the first ever No Notes Oscars?
So good. I love just like, obviously we love talking about films. We love appreciating films. And I think sitting down and actually comparing them all to each other can sometimes feel like you have to like hate on things that are really good. But I definitely lean towards it just feels great to talk about them and enjoy them, and even the ones that were barely on there are still incredible and impacted our lives, and I just love getting to look back on things that change people's lives and creates art and says something, and it just makes me really happy, and this was really fun.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. I agree. I think 2023 was an awesome year from the movies.
Yeah.
I think, again, we saw like pieces of art that have had a huge impact on the culture at large, on a lot of specific people. I know on me, and it's super cool to just look back and get to celebrate and pick our favorites and pick what we think was great. Yeah. And sometimes we overlap with the actual Oscars, like I did with Oppenheimer. And sometimes we get to shout out things like, The Holdovers, Wes Anderson, Ari Aster, people who might get overlooked. And so it's super fun to just get to look back and see what stood out to us this year. Yeah. 2023, the year of Barbenheimer, is officially now concluded. This is the last and best award show. So thank you so much for listening or watching wherever you're finding us. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple or whatever, you can also find us on YouTube. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can also go listen to us there if you don't want to have to look at our faces. Thank you so much for listening. All of our links, Letterboxd, TikTok, Instagram, everything are going to be in the descriptions of wherever you're finding us. Please subscribe, follow, rate, review us, leave 5 stars, whatever it is. That stuff helps us out so much. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.